So, the information in this section in a real season would be revealed to the audience slowly as the girls research ancient magic, magical history, as they discover new locations and meet new characters who have more to impart to them. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to front load it, so buckle up. The Age of Morgan. So, the first thing I wanted to tackle in terms of lore is, what is the Otherworld? Why do fairies call Earth the First World and call their own dimension the Otherworld? Well, because fairies are originally from Earth. It was their first world. Long ago, say in the 5th to 6th centuries, lived 3 great and powerful fairy sisters, the ladies Morgana, Morgause, and Delay, amongst whose power affinities was dimension creation, and in a climate that was increasingly hostile to magicked people, they created the Otherworld as a sanctuary for their kind and their allies, which is why there are also non-magic people who live in the Otherworld. For almost 4 centuries, the 3 sisters ruled over the Otherworld. They lived for 4 whole centuries? Yes, let me tell you how. Firstly, back when magic was not yet bound, fairies and possibly wizards naturally had longer lifespans. And secondly, consider blood witches. We are told that blood witches derive their power from human sacrifice, but then blood is named to be their element, as though it's a natural affinity. Well, in the Age of Morgan, before magic was bound down into the 5 elements, blood and related magic was considered a natural affinity. Fairies with the power of blood were capable of healing and restoration, of holding themselves and others in a state of almost perpetual youth, and even potentially resurrection. That's a lot of power, and blood fairies had a lot of clout back then for protecting and extending the lifespans of their allies. So, I've decided that whilst the Otherworld exists in a relatively stable state, and many fairies could add bits and pieces necessary for the sustenance of life, the Otherworld, as a pocket dimension, has no sun of its own. It has to steal or drain solar magic and sun energy from the First World. So in what is modern-day Solaria, there is a huge temple complex, an area of great magical concentration, where sun energy is channeled in from the First World and then redirected through the sky of the Otherworld. Stone circles are erected around the places where lines of these magics intersect. This sun temple, around which the Solarian Royal Palace complex grew, is the reason why this miserable Irish weather realm is called Solaria. Fairies in the Age of Morgan drew power from a wide range of so-called elements. Many different affinities existed, not just the 5. Transformation magic was alive and well. Blood fairies were especially influential in the court of the 3 sisters. But there was a problem. Before the creation of the Otherworld, all these powerful magical beings lived in their own parts of the world, minding their own business. But now, all these powerful fairies were forced into proximity and into a new hierarchy, and well, the Dominion Wars. A faction arises at the heart of the court of the 3 sisters, made up both of fairies and their non-magic allies, who believe that the sisters and their blood fairies have too much influence. Sensing a threat to their dominion, the sisters become increasingly erratic and experiment with darker and darker powers. So the sisters, once again, create a pocket dimension and summon an army of darkness out of it to protect themselves. In turn, their opponents call themselves the Company of Light. The foremost members of the Company of Light, leading the charge against the Army of Darkness, are, you guessed it, Marianne, Mother of Bloom, Cassandra, a light fairy, ancestor to Luna and Stella, Tabak the Wise, Erindor, not a fairy but a warrior, Diana, Nebula, and Aurora. The problem is, the blood fairies and others who grew powerful under the sisters with a wide range of abilities, not wanting to give up their dominance and influence, have sided with the sisters, and because blood fairies are so powerful with their abilities to heal, to resurrect, and to even control their enemies, the fight is a struggle. So, the main magicked members of the company decide to do something unprecedented. They bind down magic to only 5 elements: mind, water, fire, earth, and air. A special, undisclosed allowance is made for Cassandra's bloodline, so light powers continue to exist, kind of as an open secret. This is to explain why Stella's powers do not fit with the rest. I also decided that Rosalind must descend from Cassandra's bloodline, because in Season 1 we see her use light magic to turn herself invisible, just like Stella. Because she was from this ancient family, she was also privy to its secrets. The binding requires a great amount of energy, so it is done at the Great Sun Temple. With the binding, magic is greatly reduced, even for the elements that are permitted. This is when we start to lose transformation magic. People whose elements are not of the main 5 find that their magic begins to burn out. Blood fairies are greatly reduced in power and become especially embittered toward the company. They begin to have to resort to darker acts like human sacrifice to generate the energy to be able to use their powers at all. These people, over time, become blood witches in the mythology of the Otherworld. Amongst these blood witches is a particular protege of the sisters, groomed and taught by them. His name, Valtor, ancestor to Sebastian. Long story short, for now, the Company of Light defeats the Army of Darkness. They defeat the sisters, however the sisters go down into common fairy history as the ancestral witches, and not by their true names. Victorious, the Company of Light divide the Otherworld into 7 realms, thinking that this is fairer than all of it being ruled centrally, and the foremost members take over the different realms as their first monarchs. Cassandra becomes the first queen of Solaria, Erendor takes over Heraklion, the territory come to be known as Andros is offered to Tabak the Wise, but he refuses it, instead promoting a young but capable and already beloved leader, Niobe, to be Andros' first queen. Diana claims Linfea, and Nebula claims Espero. Polaris is given to Aurora. In my mind, Polaris isn't really a monarchy, it's very sparsely populated, which is why in the modern day being sent there is a punishment. A 7th realm, Domino, on the territory where the dramatic final battle was fought, is given to non-magic allies in the war. Marion and her family disappear. That's where we'll leave it for now.